Is national security a commodity? Can a nation's safety be bought and sold like goods on the open market? These unsettling questions lie at the heart of a global power dynamic that has become increasingly prominent: the exchange of military protection for financial benefits. The United States, with its vast military might and global influence, stands at the center of this complex web of relationships. From the oil-rich fields of Saudi Arabia to the volatile Korean peninsula, the U.S. extends its military umbrella over allies and partners, promising security in exchange for economic and political considerations. But this seemingly transactional approach to national security raises profound ethical and strategic questions. Is it morally justifiable to commodify national defense, essentially putting a price tag on the security of nations? And what are the long-term consequences of such arrangements for international stability and global peace? These questions demand careful scrutiny. We must examine the historical context of these protection for payment arrangements, analyze their real-world implications, and assess their impact on the future of international relations. Only then can we fully grasp the true cost of protection in the modern world. The U.S. has long positioned itself as the guarantor of global security, particularly since the end of World War II. This role has manifested in a network of alliances and partnerships, many of which involve the implicit or explicit exchange of military protection for economic or political concessions. This arrangement, while often couched in the language of shared interests and mutual benefit, can resemble a kind of protection racket, where weaker states pay for the security provided by the U.S. This dynamic is particularly evident in the case of Japan. After World War II, Japan renounced its right to maintain offensive military capabilities, relying heavily on the U.S. for its defense. In return, Japan has become a vital economic partner for the U.S., hosting American military bases and contributing significantly to the U.S. economy. Similarly, South Korea, facing the constant threat of North Korean aggression, relies heavily on the U.S. military presence for its security. This reliance comes at a price, with South Korea contributing billions of dollars to support the U.S. military presence and aligning its foreign policy with American interests. These arrangements, while ostensibly mutually beneficial, raise concerns about power imbalances and the potential for exploitation. Critics argue that the U.S. leverages its military dominance to extract economic and political concessions from weaker states, essentially holding their security hostage to advance its own interests. This dynamic can create resentment and instability, undermining the very security the U.S. claims to provide. The Korean Peninsula provides a stark illustration of the complexities and contradictions inherent in the U.S. approach to protection for payment. South Korea, a staunch U.S. ally, pays a substantial price for American military protection, both financially and politically. This arrangement has ensured South Korea's security, but has also fueled anti-American sentiment among some segments of the South Korean population who resent the perceived loss of sovereignty. In contrast, North Korea, a long-standing adversary of the U.S., has pursued a radically different path. By developing nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles, North Korea has sought to deter a potential U.S. attack and maintain its independence from American influence. This strategy, while risky and provocative, has allowed North Korea to resist American pressure and preserve its authoritarian regime. The divergent paths of the two Koreas highlight the high stakes involved in the exchange of protection for payment. For South Korea, the arrangement has provided security, but at the cost of dependence on the U.S. For North Korea, the pursuit of self-reliance has come at the price of international isolation and economic hardship. The contrasting experiences of the two Koreas underscore the complex calculus involved in navigating the treacherous terrain of international security. The relationship between the United States and Saudi Arabia presents another compelling case study in the dynamics of protection for payment. The U.S. has long provided security guarantees to Saudi Arabia, a key oil producer and regional power in the Middle East. In return, Saudi Arabia has ensured the stability of global oil markets, recycled its petrodollar revenues into the U.S. economy, and aligned its foreign policy with American interests. This arrangement, often referred to as the petrodollar system, has been mutually beneficial, providing the U.S. with energy security and geopolitical leverage, while offering Saudi Arabia protection from external threats. However, this relationship has also been fraught with tensions and contradictions. The US has faced criticism for its support of the Saudi monarchy, a regime with a poor human rights record, while Saudi Arabia has chafed at US attempts to influence its domestic and regional policies. The recent shift in global energy markets, with the rise of renewable energy sources and the shale oil revolution, has further complicated the US-Saudi relationship. As the US becomes less reliant on Saudi oil, the strategic calculus underpinning the protection for payment arrangement is shifting, raising questions about the future of this long-standing partnership. Section 5. Conclusion: the price of protection. The exchange of military protection for financial or political benefits is a complex and often controversial aspect of global power dynamics. While such arrangements can provide a measure of security and stability, they also raise ethical concerns about the commodification of national defense and the potential for exploitation. The US, as the world's dominant military power, plays a central role in this system, shaping the security landscape for both allies and adversaries. The cases of Japan, South Korea, and Saudi Arabia illustrate the diverse range of relationships that fall under the umbrella of protection for payment. Each case reveals the complex interplay of interests, the inherent power imbalances, and the potential for both cooperation and conflict. As the global landscape continues to evolve, with the rise of new powers and the shifting tides of geopolitics, the dynamics of protection for payment are likely to become even more intricate and consequential. The question of whether national security should be treated as a commodity, with a price tag attached, remains a matter of ongoing debate. Ultimately, the long-term implications of these arrangements for international diplomacy and global peace will depend on the ability of states to navigate the complex ethical and strategic dilemmas inherent in the exchange of protection for payment.